queue up specific songs for about 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour. Pandora's premium service allows users to play any song they want, but it costs $10 a month. Pandora hopes if they give away songs for free, more people will like their version over rival Spotify and Apple Music and upgrade to Pandora Premium. Snapchat is jumping into the augmented reality genre through a new Lens studio tool. Users will be able to create both 2D and 3D objects.
Yeah, he didn't get as
moved around anytime using your phone's rear camera. Alibaba will soon sell cars via a giant vending machine in China. After picking out a car online, buyers will show up at the unmanned vending machine facility.
All right, 10 seconds.
Selfie, the car will be retrieved. Users will have 3 days to test drive the car and then either buy it or arrange to test a different model. Tech report, Larry Olson, NBC News Radio.
Whoops.
Yeah.
It was a total accident.
Duncan Holder on a Friday, December 15th. Dave thought he was in his show, The Week in Geek, and pressed the old Star Wars theme. Well, that's not really the theme. See, there he goes again.
Is something going? Star Wars? There's some reason Star Wars is in the news?
Jeffrey, where are you? Why aren't you sitting outside of a movie theater?
Is that Dark Helmet?
Dark Helmet.
Dark Helmet.
You know what?
Well played.
All I know is that my favorite Star Wars thing was when I was a little kid and the Muppet Babies had a Star Wars episode. It was epic. The best Muppet Babies I've ever watched in my life.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Of course you don't.
See, I would expect you to be more of like a Spaceballs guy, because it's something that completely parodies and riffs off of.
Well, of course. And of course, Cocky Clyde's here on a Friday.
Hey, everybody.
He's here just in time to make bowl picks this week. Imagine that. Imagine
bowl
that.
picks?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, the weekend of college football bowl games.
I got to start studying.
Yeah. Good luck, because I can't wait for you to try to analyze these games we've got this weekend.
I haven't started studying the entire year, so why am I going to start now? But I will say this, our main package of the Times-Picayune, I told Dave this before the show, the headline is The Jedi Line Trick, and has someone of the Sand People holding a lightsaber and all kinds of photos of Star Wars. My wife and I are going to see Star Wars tonight. She's already got her Princess Leia shirt on. I'm wondering if she's going to wear the Princess Leia hair.
R.I.P. Carrie Fisher.
Right. I don't think she has the Princess Leia bikini from Return of the Jedi. She does not have that. Just a heads up.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you know anything that we're talking about today?
No.
You look disheveled. You're sounding disheveled.
I don't know any of this Star Wars trivia.
No. Why not? Do.
Exactly.
Or do not.
Listen to Yoda.
There is no try.
There is no
Listen
try.
to Yoda.
I do know Yoda.
You actually know who he is? You don't mistake him for Kermit the Frog?
Obi-Wan Kenobi, familiar with him.
All right, you're familiar with him. Okay.
And,
So you just know nothing about the movies.
Jabba the Hutt is kind of where I dropped off in the Star Wars. That was pretty early, right?
That was Return of the Jedi.
Which one was the one that they had the bar with all the characters?
That was the first one, right?
Yeah.
When he's going to go meet up with Han Solo.
Yeah, with Han Solo.
The first one.
The bar, and they were...
Of course, you're familiar with the bar.
Yes, I just remember that. I think I was in that bar at some point in my imagination last night after our holiday party.
Gosh, yes.
What a holiday party we had. We had a magic show. It was awesome.
Karaoke. Herbie did not sing karaoke. He wimped
So
out.
disappointed.
Our own Herbie Tiopi wimped out.
By the way, don't tell him that I'm the one on our group chat to talk about this. He had no idea who I was.
Yeah, he didn't know. I didn't know what he was talking about when he talked about this 985 area code. He chimed in. I thought he was talking about
985.
I thought he was talking about somebody else.
Okay, for our listeners,
Yeah, we
there was
lost
a
it, but-
text chain about Herbie trying to do, we were talking him into doing karaoke, and he's a karaoke fiend, and he did not do it last night here at our NOLA.com Times-Picayune offices here on Canal Street. He did not do it. Disappointment. Total
He
disappointment.
promised to do a song by Rush that does not sound like a good karaoke choice.
Have you? I mean, how many? Are you a Rush fan, or have you?
I'm not a fan. I
but
know
you,
Rush.
So you know, I mean, Red
Tom
Bartender.
Sawyer.
Well, Tom Sawyer.
I think that's the only song.
Fly Night.
I don't know.
Yeah, Fly By Night, I know. They're from Canada.
Yes, they are from Canada.
There's 3 guys in the band, and they sound like they have like a ton of music, right?
Yeah, and it's just those 3.
Yeah.
Bailey,
I'm always a little skeptical that it's just those 3. It sounds like way too much music.
No, I've seen them in concert. It's amazing.
I think there's something else going on. There's like a band.
A Rush conspiracy.
There's like another band back behind some wall playing music. There's way too much sound.
Like Milli Vanilli
coming out of 3 guys. They're just, I don't buy it.
What a great start to Duncan Holder today. By the way, we're talking Saints Jets. We're going to talk about that. We're going to also talk about the NFL with the New York Times' Ken Belson. He's fresh off the owners' meetings. We'll actually talk with him in about 5 or 6 minutes. Former Saints cornerback and postseason Super Bowl hero Tracy Porter. He's going to join us in the 11 o'clock hour. He's having a charity event in town, and I'm still wondering if people see him on the street and attack him, as in with like hugs and high fives and everything humanly possible, because he will always be a Saints hero forever. But after he dies, 300 years from now, he will be one of the biggest Saints heroes to ever live.
And where's Tracy Porter from? He's from down Baton Rouge area, right?
It's Port Allen.
Port Allen, okay. Port Allen.
Yes.
And I remember when they drafted him, I think it was second rounder out of Indiana.
Correct.
And I'm curious to find out. I'm going to ask Tracy today how he ended up at IU. I don't think I've ever heard that story. Like, how does a guy from Port Allen end up at Indiana? It's not a common... They're not commonly coming down and recruiting.
And he wasn't a basketball guy.
Right.
Because
it was up there, though.
At that time, Indiana was still pretty good at basketball, I would assume.
Well, you know who was a really good Louisiana product that ended up at IU too was isn't Ben Jarvis Green Ellis? Wasn't he a Louisiana guy?
I thought he went to Ole Miss.
I think he ended up at IU or started at IU or something.
Maybe.
Better look that up.
Let's have Clyde look it up. Clyde will get it right.
I'm pretty sure.
We'll say the wrong things, and Clyde will correct us and say the right things.
That's what I'm here for, guys.
Exactly. So
he's at IU.
Come on. We'll talk with Tracy Porter, and of course, we will talk Saints Jets. Of course, an extremely important game for the Saints this weekend. You'll hear from Drew Brees. Had a chance to catch up with him earlier in the week, and we'll hear his thoughts on Michael Thomas's bid to make it to the Pro Bowl. And a question I asked him about Mark Ingram, and it's the lead to my 1st and 10 column, and his reaction to my question, I wrote it in my column, kind of took me aback. It's almost as if Drew Brees has been waiting for weeks to talk about Mark Ingram, because if you look at what Mark Ingram has done this year, he's getting underplayed because of the excitement that Alvin Kamara has brought to the table. But Mark Ingram is one of the best running backs in the NFL. I mean, you cannot argue that this year. Last year was his best year. This year is an even better year for him. And the numbers, and I spelled it out in my column, and look, we'll go through it later on in the show. Look, if he received the volume of carries that, say, Le'Veon Bell receives, Ingram would easily be leading the NFL in rushing. Easily.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Easily.
Well, you know, we haven't figured this out, or maybe we have. Alvin Kamara is averaging 7 yards a carry. Is that like some kind of? That's got to be close to an NFL record, I would think.
I've seen so many lauding stats that I'm confused. I don't know anymore. I would believe anything. Alvin Kamara might be, say, the Messiah of planet Earth. I've seen that enough.
That's one route to go. I like how we go from being a productive running back to being the Messiah.
He's leaped above Breezes.
Really, really close.
Well,
Saints deities?
He's leaped above Breezes. Come on. As far as notoriety, and of course, I'm waiting for Jeff to say, he's also on my fantasy team. I need him to score 7 touchdowns.
Was that your Jeff Duncan? I think voice.
It's very terrible.
That is
Dunk Geek. Yes. I will say this: I was completely wrong about Ben Jarvis Green Ellis. I don't know what I was thinking. He went to Ole Miss.
No. You are absolutely spot on.
Wait,
hold on.
Stop this.
Born in New Orleans, went to St. Aug. Before transferring to Mississippi, Green Ellis was a productive running back for Indiana University in the 2003-2004 seasons. Green Ellis transferred when then head coach Jerry DiNardo was fired.
Thank you. He played under DiNardo?
Yes.
So that's how he ended up there. DiNardo's recruiting ties, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. You weren't wrong, and I was not wrong.
No, I'm not saying you
So
were
we're
wrong.
all correct. So
I just feel like
give a high five Friday.
I'm always right.
Clyde is always right.
Cocky Clyde.
Cocky Clyde's going to get the bowl games right. We'll have our bowl picks for this weekend. Look, the New Orleans Bowl is the first bowl of the bowl season. Noon kickoff tomorrow in the Dome. Troy and North Texas. Historically, big time. I'm having trouble trying to laud the New Orleans Bowl. I'm sorry. I tried the best I could.
You failed. Troy and North Texas this weekend in the New Orleans Bowl.
I tried to laud
Winners of
The gears were turning. He was trying to come up with the right word.
tried.
And you,
It's Troy, North Texas.
and
What do
think
you
that
want me to
you
do?
write for a living. It's
I
amazing.
did run into some Troy fans last night in the Quad.
Really?
Yeah, there's a little
Hey, man.
contingent of Troy fans.
They should be. They had a great season. Beat LSU
beat
at
LSU.
home. Won the Sun Belt.
And they've already got a lot of Clemson, Alabama stuff up in the T-shirt shops in the quarter.
Well, that's about right. Yeah.
Already. That's a few weeks away, right?
Well, maybe they're coming here for the month. Hey, let them come here for the month.
Yeah.
Wisconsin fans would have came here for the month.
No doubt.
And they
That's
would have
gonna be-
drank for
that's
2
gonna
months.
be an awesome game. I can't wait.
Exactly. So we'll talk about that at another point. But coming up next here on Dunk and Holder, Ken Belson of the New York Times. We'll talk with him about some major league issues coming off the heels of the NFL owners meetings in Dallas. So we'll catch up with him next here on a Country Fried Friday on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Dunk and Holder.
Yeah, I think there's a story that I just saw, a stadium update.
Sports 1280's Secret Santa
So he went to
slipped us some
Vegas
Pelicans tickets.
for
Yeah, I think deal on UNLV use of lost
Hey,
some
sorry,
kind
Santa.
of stadium update just came out.
Forgot to say the ticket giveaway. I'll do that coming back.
Oh, we got a ticket
And we
giveaway?
don't
Yeah,
even care
yeah.
if you've been naughty or nice. I do. Except during morning raw, of course. Yeah. Win Pelicans tickets on Sports 1280 and catch the games on News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
We wish you a Merry Christmas from your friends at Boot Barn. And we wish you some Wrangler jeans under your tree. Buy one, get one, 50% off of Wrangler blue jeans. All at Boot Barn. Yes, Wrangler blue jeans.
God, this is a horrible country.
That commercial is awful.
I was waiting for Drew Brees to jump on and sing about Wrangler jeans.
That was pretty bad.
In furniture,
Wrangler
electronics,
jeans.
and appliances. Yes, just $5.
Jeans.
And in true
America.
Aaron spirit, there's no
Football.
credit needed, and delivery is
You
set
gave,
up for free.
Dave
Make your
Ken's
holiday a
number?
jolly
Yes.
one. Get
Okay.
started with just $5 at participating Aaron stores
Oh,
this
we're on
Friday
YouTube,
and Saturday,
huh?
or at
Yes.
Aaron's.com
All
this
right.
Friday through Sunday.
I gotta put it in the
Just
post.
$5 gets you started during
yeah.
Aaron's Jolly Days.
All right, we got Ken.
Sweet.
Agreement.
Thank
Some
you, bud.
restrictions apply, so see store for details.
This isn't me.
Our words don't
I was so
and Luke Skywalker
I thought for sure.
Princess
Star Wars
Leia
Friday.
I'm in.
and directing the last
Dave, you and me,
Star
we
Wars
can hang.
Friday.
Yeah.
Dave, did you go yesterday?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I had to wait for my paycheck to come in. I'm broke. I work in radio.
Wrangler in the holiday spirit after reuniting to perform the new Christmas song Snow.
All right, 1 minute.
Performed on the Ellen DeGeneres show, traced back to the 2014 Chandelier music video. Featuring Ziegler in an
Joni and I are going. We get a free poster
Snowman featured
for
on CNBC's
reserving
holiday
tickets.
Album Every Day is Christmas.
Dominic, what are you gonna do with that? Probably
John
hang it
Stamos
over my
is
bed.
going to be a day. People that he is
I bet if we broke into Jeff's house, he's probably got the Star Wars stuff all over his house. He just doesn't want to admit it.
Hey, I'm
found
taking
out
the
they
Morton
were
Anderson
expecting.
beefcake poster to the Superdome on
guitarist
Sunday because
Joe
he's going to
Perry
be at the
announcing a
Saints Hall of
solo
Fame. I'm going to get him to sign it for us.
His solo album,
gotta get those up
Switzerland
somewhere.
Manifesto,
I don't know what-
drops
you have to,
January
like, put it
19th.
here.
He'll do a
That'd
mix
be
of new
great right there.
songs,
I'm fine with
Aerosmith tunes, and covers at the Roxy
That would be great on
January
YouTube with him.
16th.
Yeah,
right in the middle, between both of y'all.
HBO sharing a trailer for their upcoming documentary, David Bowie, The Last
you act
5
like I'm
Years.
not up
The
for
flick
buffoonery.
airs
Of course I'm
January
up for
8th on what would
Of course,
That's why we're such a great tag team.
first
Right.
birthday. That's entertainment. Jennifer Bolsona,
Oh,
NBC
God.
News Radio.
Oh, is the show over yet? How far into it are we?
I'm the son of a third-generation farmer. I've been married 10 years to the farmer's daughter.
This is Dunk Dunk and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
As you hear in our commercial breaks, we're giving away Pelicans tickets all month. And guess what? We've got a pair of Pelicans tickets to give away. Pelicans Nets on December 27th. You know how the system works here on Dunk and Holder. We give you a keyword. We ask for you to give us the keyword in hour number 2. You give us a call, you win the tickets. Jeffrey, what's the keyword today?
Yoda.
Yoda is the keyword.
Well played.
Exactly. Dave is proud. So if you remember the keyword Yoda when we call for it in the 11 o'clock hour, give us a call, 504-260-1280. You win Pelicans Nets tickets, and we don't have like the nosebleeds. They're in the bottom bowl. That's how we do it here on Dunk and Holder.
Nothing but the best on Dunk and Holder.
Absolutely. And joining us, one of the best in the world covering the NFL, Ken Belson of the New York Times. Ken, appreciate you jumping on the show. How are you?
Sure. Which world are we talking about? Coleco football, or are we talking about NFL football?
I think we're talking about, since it's Star Wars Geek Friday, maybe Tatooine, maybe that world. Jeff, do you know what that is?
I do not know what that is.
Of course you do.
I'm so illiterate on pop culture. It's not funny. But I do know good food, and I know good Scotch whiskey, and so does Ken.
I was about to say, that's why y'all are buddies.
That's how we bonded early in our tenures.
Yeah, well, you got to try somehow. Anything that works, really.
Hey, Ken, you're in Vegas right now, so I want to start off asking you a little bit about the Raiders stadium update. Is there any news on that front, and is that progressing as expected for the Raiders to finally make that move to Las Vegas?
Yes. I actually attended the Stadium Authority meeting yesterday. It was actually reasonably crowded. They're getting down to the nitty-gritty and the agreement with the city, or the county, and the team. They're now discussing, the percentage of contracts given out to local businesses and issues related to guarantees that the team will stay here 30 years. But that's getting into the fine print. The head of the authority said they were going to try and wrap everything up by February, which I think they have 3 more meetings. And they pretty much have to, because the Raiders have broken ground on the site, and if this agreement is not in place or finalized by April, they have to plow it over and either start a new agreement or not move. But nobody seems to think that's going to happen. So there is a little bit of movement out on the site at the south end of the strip, but they're not going full bore until they finalize all these smaller items on the agenda for the agreement.
Ken, you're just coming off the NFL owners meetings in Dallas, and usually, say, the late meetings in December, not usually giant news, but of course, Roger Goodell's contract is gigantic news that was finalized there. And of course, you're talking Dallas, you're talking Jerry Jones, and we obviously know the rift that has come between Roger and Jerry. First off, not a stunner about the contract, but the fact that Roger had the support of basically every owner, and your thoughts on the contract and your thoughts on kind of the rift between Roger and Jerry.
Sure. Well, the Jerry and Roger had back-to-back press conferences at the end of the meeting on Wednesday, which was pretty unusual. You either see press conferences with Roger only, or when there is another owner involved, they're usually at the podium together. But I guess given all the interest in what Jerry had to say, Roger let him speak after him. But the body language was pretty apparent. Roger kind of gave him an awkward bro hug and then left the room. Didn't stay around and listen to Jerry. So it was very awkward there. And then Jerry went on and on about a number of things about the constitution of the league that he wants to change, and then essentially said yet again that he thinks Ezekiel Elliott was wrongly suspended, which in this environment you would think he would just drop the issue already, but he kind of doubled down on it. So although they claimed there was no hatchet to bury, it was pretty clear there's still a hatchet out there, and both sides are kind of awkward. I know the other owners, of course, were not in the room with Jerry while he talked, which was a whole other issue. I think some of the owners were rather annoyed that after all the issues and tension that he's raised in the last couple of months, he should have been the last one to be given his own press conference. So I think the tension continues, even though the ink on the contract is dried.
And Ken, is this, as I understand it, I don't know if it's ever come out officially from Goodell, but I think Joe Lockhart did indicate that this looks like it'll be Roger Goodell's last contract before he, retires as commissioner. Is that kind of the understanding? Has that ever been officially, addressed by Roger Goodell?
Well, Roger said he kind of equivocated and sort of said that he hasn't really thought much about specifically whether he was going to finish in 2024. But he then added, when it's time to go, it's time to go. So he was giving himself a little bit of an out. But I've heard from several owners that he said that behind closed doors, and I don't think Joe Lockhart was speaking out of turn. I think he was sort of relaying the sentiment amongst the owners. It may have appeared that Roger was contradicting him. But let's face it, he'll be 65 at that point in 2024. He'll have been at the league for, at that point, 40 years, more than 40 years. There's not much more you can do at that point. There's even some questions, and I heard this from one owner, that he may not even finish the 5-year extension, that once the labor talks and the media talks or the media deals are finished in 2021, 2022, he might just say, I've done all I can do, and I've reached all my targets. It's time to step aside. But, yeah, he doesn't want to say that this is his last term because that makes him a lame duck commissioner, even though we obviously have 7 years left. And going into labor talks, if you're DeMaurice Smith and Roger Goodell is a lame duck commissioner, you might have leverage in that conversation. So I think the owners understand it to be the case. I think common sense says it's probably true. But, Roger wanted to play coy on that.
Ken Belson of the New York Times, join us right here on Duncan Holder, covers the NFL for the New York Times. Ken, what do you make of the NFC? Obviously, Jeff and I, we did not anticipate the Saints being this good this year. We probably didn't anticipate the top teams in the NFC being this good this year. What do you make of kind of the landscape of the way this season's panned out as a whole for the conference?
Well, it's fun to watch, partly because there's sleeper teams, the Vikings most noticeably, Carson Wentz's improvement, from everybody thinking he was half a dud last year. And the Rams, who did have a good defense, suddenly have a good offense. It's a very young coach. So there's 3 teams that just surprised way beyond, I think, most people's expectations. And I'm not sure, I guess the Saints had underperformed several years in a row, but it feels like Drew Brees' last big run, or potentially last big run. And, of course, with Ezekiel Elliott not there, I think that put the Cowboys down the peg. So it's been fun to watch. I mean, it's frankly been more surprising and entertaining than the AFC this season. And I'm sure where you guys are, it's a relief after, 3 subpar seasons in a row.
Yeah, I think it's taken everybody by surprise down here, and the city is really starting to kind of get on board the buzz of the playoffs approaching. But I wanted to ask you one thing, Ken, about you're based up in New York. And, of course, the big flap went down with Eli Manning a couple weeks ago, and they ended up cleaning house up there with the Giants organization. And Larry and I have talked about that situation on the program a lot. Obviously, Eli Manning, a New Orleanian. What do you think happens up there? Do you think Eli Manning will have a future with the Giants, or is it all contingent on who comes in and what their thought process is? And is there any movement at all towards, from the Maras or Tisches to hire a general manager and head coach?
Well, there was a funny tweet that came out, Bob Glauber, the Newsday columnist, at Wednesday's meeting, and he said that he spoke to John Mara about the new GM and asked him who it might be, and he said, it's definitely not you, Bob. So I think it's anybody's guess right now. I think John Mara realizes what's been created, and he's sort of ruined the reputation of really a stalwart for the organization throughout, and not just on the field, but off the field. Eli's been as good as it gets in terms of community involvement and really being in a league filled with a lot of outspoken players. It's just been perfect for this organization. So I was very surprised. I think a lot of people were surprised. The Giants over the years have really doubled down on things like loyalty to the organization, sometimes to their detriment. And to see the way that was handled was just really quite shocking. And so I think that's where John Mara realized geez, this is not us, and so he quickly undid it. I thought they were going to wait till the end of the season to replace the coach, general manager, but I don't know who the leading candidates are right now. I think the Giants they don't go for quick fixes. They tend to go for guys like Tom Coughlin, who they hope are going to be there for 10, 15 years, and that means they have to spend a lot of time getting those people, and they're not going to necessarily get them in the middle of the season while people are still working at other jobs. So I think that was probably in the NFC the biggest shock of all, is to see them go from a playoff team to what they had 2 wins this year, and don't seem to have a very bright future. Now, injuries did have a lot to do with it, obviously. They lost all their top receivers, and some of that shouldn't have been held on Eli. But they really don't have a good offensive line, and their defense, which is usually captured in the games, has faltered as well.
Ken Belson in the New York Times joining us right here on Duncan Holder. One more and we'll let you run. The Jets can't come in and beat the Saints, right? They just can't do it, right? People down here may be panicking. It's a trap game. I mean, the Jets are more than a 2-touchdown underdog going against the Saints. They can't come in and beat the Saints, right?
Well, they just lost their quarterback, and Josh McCown's been actually kind of a fun story this year. I remember early on in the season, the preseason even, or training camp, people thought the Jets and Browns were going to battle for the top pick. And they've been a kind of feisty team, but they got wiped out in Denver. They really have, whatever upside they had is gone now without Cowan there. And so I'd make sure you have an extra drink there and relax. I don't think the Jets are going to surprise anybody, at least not in New Orleans. If it was a snowy day up in New Jersey, I'd say there's a possibility.
You don't have to encourage us to have an extra drink. I can tell you that. Where we live, of course.
I don't need to say the obvious, but no, the Jets are actually be a fun team to watch, and sort of kudos to Todd Bowles kind of keeping the team together. But McCown he's already in his late 30s, but then he broke his hand. I mean, he was really a lot of their offense. I mean, he was running for touchdowns. He's a fairly accurate passer, and really brought the level up on the field, at least with the offense. And but I just don't see them beating the Saints. You guys have a lot of momentum. Plus, you have a lot playing, on the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Ken Belson in the New York Times. Hey, Ken, appreciate the time, and next time you hang out with Jeff, keep him in line. He's become a bit of a wild man. I've got to tame him over here on the show.
I actually steer clear of New Orleans when he's in town, so I try and go when he's out of town.
Smart move. Hey, Ken, thanks for jumping on the show.
Appreciate it, Ken. Take care, buddy.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, that's Ken Belson of the New York Times. Interesting dynamic of Goodell and Jerry Jones. I didn't realize that happened.
I didn't know they had back-to-back press conferences
and basically
an bro hug.
Yes, it was. I would imagine it as like when Goodell handed the trophy to Tom Brady, right. Something like that. Yeah, interesting.
The thing that I didn't get to ask him that I think is out there. So obviously this is going to be Goodell's last deal. Who's the likely successor? I don't think there's a likely person out there that anybody can point to as a future commissioner.
I think someone wants to point to himself. His name is Jerry Jones.
Right. That would be, you don't say. That would be a Category 5 disaster.
Exactly. Category 7, probably.
Yes. I mean, that's the last guy that the league needs, but I don't think there's any obvious candidate to replace Roger Goodell right now that we all know of. Maybe it's...
Well, Goodell wasn't one, right?
It's not like a former player. Is there a player? I mean, I think that getting a...
Peyton Manning?
Right. Somebody that was on
serious.
the football side. No, that's what I'm saying. Somebody that was on the football side as opposed to a business. Now, I know you got to have some business acumen.
And another question, I think we talked about this I think it was a month ago when I think we were talking about commissioners as a whole in all the major sports leagues. Do you think the NFL maybe goes a little bit, skews maybe a little bit younger, a la the NBA, to find someone that maybe connects with a younger audience and tries to maybe go forward in kind of that global branding, a la the NBA has done with Adam Silver?
How like Colin Kaepernick or somebody?
Oh, I'm sure, yes.
Yeah.
I'm right there.
Yeah, because that won't go well.
Jeff stirring the pot.
See, I bring up a very salient point, and then it's like, oh, hey, Colin Kaepernick, great, and submarined.
Yeah,
but seriously,
that's not going to happen.
I mean,
just a heads up. I don't think the owners will be in unison saying, Commissioner Colin, come. We don't want you on our team, but
hey, you can run.
He's responding to Clad's salient point. What a comment.
I'm just asking. Do you skew younger to try to get that younger audience? People not watching on TV, maybe branching out a little bit more, not being so stodgy with being able to show highlights and clips on Twitter and Facebook. And
well, you understand the owners have the say-so, so they're not going to skew younger.
No, that's a good point. I'm
There's
just saying.
no way, so.
I'm just saying because I mean, at some point, do you believe that like there's so much talk about why people are watching football on TV, people not going to games, and nothing but bad press, and yet you see and you look over across the street pretty much at the NBA, and you got Adam Silver like, yeah, we're doing global games in China, and we've got more people watching than ever. We've got this new rights deal. Sooner or later, even owners in the NFL are going to look at it and be like, we might want a little bit of that.
I don't think you need a young guy to understand that. Just have a smart guy to understand it. Doesn't matter what the age.
And one that's a little bit more approachable and kind of impressionable than Roger Goodell.
Well, exactly. So let's take a break right here on the show. Don't forget, we're calling for the keyword to give away Pelicans Nets tickets December 27th because the Pelicans are on the road. So keyword Yoda. Last time we're giving it out. Yoda is the keyword. Call us back, 504-260-1280 in the 11 o'clock hour when we call for the keyword. First one to call with the keyword gets the tickets. And we'll talk Pelicans coming up here next. Look, they take on Denver tonight. Significant game in the Western Conference. So we'll talk about that next here. Sports1280NOLA.com and the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder.
Your forecast.
You'd be a terrible violinist.
New Orleans.
Violinist. More of a
fiddler. And a fiddler.
Fiddlesticks.
Larry.
So what's this Michael DeMarco?
From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz today.
That's the bar room.
And raw
Yeah, the bar room. I didn't know that
in the
Han
upper
Solo
40s to
shot
lower
first.
50s with light rain on and off through the day. Now tonight,
I look very serious.
30s on the North Shore, lower 40 south.
They changed it when they remastered the movies and re-put them out. Had when they remastered the movies, when they redid the first original trilogy, they had Greedo shoot first in the remake or the reproduction of it, so that Han Solo didn't look as bad. But that's why everybody liked him because he shot.
Yeah, because he shot first.
Yeah, he's like, screw you.
So there was.
That's what made him lovable. He was a murderer.
They tried to soften Han Solo.
Yeah, right.
Lame.
Got any music lovers on your holiday list? You can get them the perfect gift in less than a minute. Quello Concerts. With Quello, they can watch thousands of Christmas movies.
They got any more Jambalaya
on a smart TV, like a Roku TV, or on the go. Quello's got everything from Elvis to Springsteen, Bowie to Beyonce, Pink Floyd, The Who, and so much more. In just 1 minute, you can get the perfect gift they'll use all year long. Go to QELLO.com/gift and give the gift music lovers really want.
There was all of them were good. I tried every one of them.
I ate every. I was the last person with the.
If your Christmas tree
token, and so they were hurrying me up. I'm like, can I just get a second? I'm like,
yeah, like rushing through your Jambalaya, like binging. Home Mini under the tree. And
probably
with Walmart's everyday low prices,
yeah, probably so. Because they were trying to rush you out.
So use the
Were you even at the party?
No, I wasn't because I had a day off because I needed it.
Home today.
Yeah, you do need it. We missed you in here yesterday.
I know. I really wanted to be in here, but I was
a little bit. Kind of looked at the empty chair. We're like,
the NFL weekend 25-13. Whatever the Colts.
In spirit, you're here.
I was so exhausted after the championships last weekend. Oh my God!
Osweiler came out in relief, throwing for 2 touchdowns and running for a third.
There's nothing that beats hard work.
Yeah, it was like that Saturday was so.
Being a pro quarterback,
can imagine.
Whether you're the first string, second string, third string, fourth string, you're getting paid to be a professional quarterback.
Said a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on.
I was just simply doing my job.
C.J. Anderson rushed for 158 yards. Indianapolis.
All right, 30 seconds.
A triple-double for LeBron James. 25 points, 12 boards, and 12 assists as the Cavaliers top the Lakers 121-112. L.A. rookie Lonzo Ball at 13 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds. The Warriors won their 8th in a row, 112-97 over Dallas.
You want to do them in the next segment? How many games we have?
We've got
for a pair of minor league outfielders.
We got our NFL stuff too. We got to do our rocks.
I'm gonna save because I want to do NFL like the whole
Frank Garrity.
Second half.
Yeah.
Back.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Going deep on the teams you care about. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Duncan Holder here on a Country Fried Friday, and I'm upset now. I thought for sure Hootie was the originator of that song, and he's not? You tell me he's not the originator of that song?
No.
I'm not doing this again. I'm not getting back into this. We're not.
What are you talking about? Yes, we are.
No,
we're getting full force into it.
Nope, we're not. Nope.
Old Crow
Hootie
Medicine
was not
Show.
the originator of that song?
No.
Because I like Hootie's version of that.
Old Crow Medicine Show. That was going to be my karaoke song.
What?
Last night. That was what I was going to sing.
Yeah, I'm sure that would have brought down the house.
It would have. I would have dominated, Clyde. Dominated.
In our office Christmas party, there were literally only 21 songs you could choose from.
What?
What karaoke DJ was this?
And they were all Christmas songs, from what I understand.
Oh,
you can literally go
lame-o.
Jeff is so mad.
That's like the stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
Oh, look at you ripping away at our Christmas party.
It's okay. It's bad. You gotta call a spade, man. We all go to Little Tokyo, down Carrollton right now, especially tonight, and absolutely slay it.
Free plug for Little Tokyo, apparently.
Shred it.
I'm telling you, Wagon Wheel's a great karaoke song. And that version especially.
I never even heard of the song until Hootie did it. Now I'm bent.
Darius Rucker.
Nah, it's not even that.
Come on in, Clyde.
It's not even that either, bud. So Hootie forever, Hootie for life. You can call him Darius, and then you can go play some golf in South Carolina or some junk like that. But Hootie.
Why does he hate Hootie so much?
I don't hate. No. Stop.
Blake Shelton.
Ooh, I don't hate Blake Shelton, but I mean,
who's it?
One of our coworkers. Chris Granger says, every time I see Duncan Holder, I think y'all are Brooks and Dunn. That's epic. What? We're like a country duo.
Yeah, except without any of the musical talent.
That's not anything cool about us.
I was a former rap singer.
Right. Just like I was a former rap singer, dude. I played guitar on stage with a band at my wedding.
I was in Rummel's rendition of Grease my senior year. I sang.
Oh, please. Anybody at Rummel, do you have video of this? Please send video of this.
Video exists.
What?
Yes.
What role were you?
Okay, in the movie, the blonde-headed guy named, I think it's Putsy or something.
Were you one of the T-Birds?
Yes, I was one of the T-Birds. But in the play, his name is Roger, and Roger sings a solo. Like, I had to get up and sing a solo for like 2 weeks straight.
Oh, so you were one of the T-Birds, not Danny. He's the lead, and then there's Kanicki.
I was the one who was in love with Jan.
Yes, that's the blonde guy, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
I was that guy, but he was more prominent in the play apparently, and I had to sing solos the whole time, and I had to do it every night because I was the only one who could sing the song. That's how great of a singer I actually am.
Shameless plug.
I'll give you credit because that's funny. Grease was my senior play too, and I was like an unknown T-Bird. I didn't even have a name.
You're a nameless T-Bird. In the credits, nameless T-Bird.
I got ripped off. I should have been the lead. And I should have been Danny.
I was bent that I wasn't Danny, but no, they gave it away to my good buddy Jeff Winchester, who was a first-round pick in the Major League Draft and played in the Colorado Rockies minor league system. He was Danny, but I dominated and overshadowed him. Yes.
Took control on stage.
Absolutely. No question about it.
Our Danny was Craig DeZern, who sat right in front of me in homeroom because everything was always alphabetical. And Craig DeZern dominated. He was 1,000 times better than I was.
What the hell are we talking about?
He ended up the main PR guy at Disney World. So
what? The main PR guy?
Randomly, when the Saints won the Super Bowl, and remember, there's always I'm going to Disney World.
He took like the parade car ride with Drew.
I get a call from Craig DeZern, my former Seneca High School classmate, who's the main PR guy, telling me, "Hey, you want to come interview Drew Brees at Disney World tomorrow?" And I'd already had my flights back. I couldn't make it work, but I couldn't believe that's what he was doing.
Can I just say that you guys, what I find so funny is that you guys are like so super important, but you guys know some really famous people. I mean, to get to the Rockies organization and then the PR person for Disney?
Yes.
What?
Not a bad deal.
Yeah, my man Jeff spurned LSU. He was committed to LSU, and
where'd he go? Oh, he went to the pros.
He was in the sandwich picks, like between the first and second round. So I still technically call him a first round pick, and so yeah.
I love how the best thing maybe
he should have gone
Brooks and Dunn.
Yes, and according to Chris Granger, we're Brooks and Dunn. Here's how we got on it, because Hootie apparently is a fraud. Because of the songs, we spun off of singing.
He's not a fraud, dude. He just remade the song. This happens all the time.
I'm not big on people covering songs, but that was a good one. Like
he did.
That was a great cover.
He did all right.
He did all right. Why are you bagging on?
Because I don't appreciate Darius Rucker, the country artist.
No, you don't.
I appreciate Hootie and the Blowfish as a seminal rock band of the mid '90s.
Hey, we had a ballroom debate last night. I'll bring
this show on so far off the rails.
It's off the rails.
Who's the greater vocalist, Stevie Wonder or Freddie Mercury?
Freddie Mercury.
I would say Freddie. Yes.
Oh yeah, all day.
Freddie is incredible.
Stevie is Steve in my mind is one of the best producers and arrangers and lyricists. I mean, obviously, Songs the Key of Life, beautiful. But Freddie Mercury has a voice unlike which we will ever see again.
Well, I'm not a fan of Stevie Wonder because he ruined Jazz Fest for me about 8-9 years ago.
How?
It's storming, raining, and we're sitting out, and I'm in the storm. No, but half of his set was whining and complaining about George Bush. Dude, I'm out here in the rain. Sing your damn song. Sing a song. I don't want to hear you whining about George Bush. I don't want to hear you whining about Obama. I don't want to hear you whining about politics. Period. Sing your damn song.
Well.
Okay.
Shoes on the other foot today.
Okay.
Crotchety old Larry. Where's that mad as hell take?
Exactly. No politics. Sing a damn song. That's all I want. This is absurd.
Who hates Stevie Wonder, one of the great musical icons of all time.
Well,
who loves New Orleans, by the way. He loves New Orleans.
Loves it.
Well, one New Orleanian does not love him, and that's Larry Horner.
I think it's unfair to just hold that one thing against him. I think if you saw him in concert one more time,
a little trivia for you.
I don't need to see him again.
At Essence Fest, he was amazing.
I don't need to see him again.
Stevie Wonder's got the exact same birthday as me. A little trivia.
You know who has the exact same birthday?
I'm sure you look at the calendar and see it too.
Wait, this show is going nuts, but I love it. You know who has the exact same birthday as me? The exact day is Albert Pujols.
I would have never guessed that.
Albert Pujols.
I would have thought
January 16th, 1980. He's a little more successful than
only marginally, has a better income and more famous.
He's still playing
marginally.
Is he still with the Angels? Didn't he sell like a mega deal?
Still the Angels. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they are sunk by that because they're living off Mike Trout
and the injured goods of Ohtani.
Oh yeah. Not good for them. Not good for them.
I told you this. We were
he's hurt, right?
That apparently he's got something wrong with his UCL, which is the ligament that tears, and you got to have Tommy John surgery. So that's obviously not good. Well, now that we're back to sports, I somehow spun it back to sports.
I'm proud of you.
Back to sports. I do want to comment on the Twitter poll that I have up. I'm a Twitter poll fiend.
You made a Twitter poll, and I didn't even.
He's made a bunch of Twitter polls the last few days.
Yes. Well, this one corresponds to my story that's out right now about the trio of LSU stars, Alex Bregman, Leonard Fournette, and Ben Simmons, which we've talked about on the program before.
Sure.
Asking readers or social media followers which LSU star will have the best pro career, Alex Bregman, Leonard Fournette, or Ben Simmons. It's very tight right now. Simmons 38%, Bregman 36%, Fournette only 26%. I thought more people would vote for him.
I thought people would just discount Ben Simmons just because they don't feel like he's someone that they really know a lot about. It's like they know more about, say, Bregman and Leonard Fournette because they were playing longer with LSU, and so there's more of a connection. But no, that does surprise me, actually.
And even more surprising to me, yesterday's Twitter poll.
Oh, boy. And we're back.
What is the best decade for music?
Nice.
The 1990s won out of almost 800 votes. 35% went with the 90s, 30% to the 80s, 25% on the 70s. That's shocking.
Love it.
The 90s?
I'm not surprised. I mean, when you think about the different levels and especially the types of genres of music that came through the 1990s, I'm not surprised. I felt like
Did you get on there and skew the poll?
No, yeah, because
it's you. You're the one that did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're also surprised it wasn't
the 90s.
Freaking Thin Mints.
Nah, dude. Nah, bro. Hey, don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I'm just telling you.
Samoa's is where
Samoa should have won.
I don't play around with that.
The 80s should have won.
No,
we're going to hell in a handbasket.
Play the music. I don't know what the hell happened to this show. Play the music. We need to go to break. We just became Josh Innes' show, where he goes off on a tangent for about 45 minutes and talks about documentaries or something.
He's hating on Stevie Wonder.
I suck.
And as long as one of us isn't getting banned, I think we're all right.
Stevie Wonder sucks. How you like that?
That's not, dude. Wow.
So what?
Lightning's gonna strike you down.
He ruined my Jazz Fest experience circa 2008. Sucks. Whatever.
Crotchety Larry.
Coming back, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. I swear we'll talk sports here on Duncan Holder.
No, not really.
After I get my crispy treats.
And the New Orleans Saints, what can you say?
Jordy Hultberg, 2 till 4.
There's something happening here. I can't put my finger on it.
Stevie Wonder sucks.
I've seen
it's like, whoa, bro.
Whoa. 3 years. This is not 7 and 9.
Whoa, dude.
I was here's how stupid we were.
New Orleans.
Like me and my friend.
Perfect holiday gift for golfers.
We're standing out. It's storming. And we're wearing
and for 2018, you
a
get
case of
16
beer, the box on our head to like try to keep dry.
Only $44.99.
No.
That's right. Our best
and I was like, damn it, I'm going to fight this out because Stevie's here.
$44.99.
And we got these tickets as groomsmen gifts.
Dumas, Diamond Head Country Club.
And this guy, all he's doing is whining and complaining about George Bush. Shut up.
This discounted special ends after Christmas, so visit golfcrescentcity.com now. That's golfcrescentcity.com.
And it had nothing to do with like
of the Thrive Global
Republican, Democrat. I'm like, I don't want to play your damn music. It's storming. Now, if it was sunny and he was complaining, probably wouldn't have been upset.
Right, but it just happened to be the worst of all outcomes. It's raining, you're miserable, pouring down rain. I think it was that day, and then he's talking about George W. Bush. Like, this is the worst.
For both you and your
we're not talking about Pelicans.
Experience the Sleep Number bet exclusive.
I was going to say, we got 5 games.
Stores nationwide. Check them out at sleepnumber.com/thrive.
We have a lot of insight. We don't even know the teams.
Weekend deals.
I don't even know the games.
I made an Excel sheet.
Pure Bliss better bust out that wish list.
Well,
Guide
there's
to
many
saving
games
big
we're
this
going to
holiday
pick.
season.
Yes, there are 39, and that's not including the national championship game, which are big.
Toys, apparel, and home decor.
Well,
like Super Stellar Star Wars Boys tees, the
so
plush
when's the next time you're on the show?
and the hero.
Well, so the good thing is that, like, so
are out of this world.
the way the schedule shakes out is that you got five this Saturday, then you've got one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, one on Thursday. So I'm thinking like Monday. We can
pop in on Monday.
Yeah, and we can do Monday. Yeah,
that will lead to more effective treatments and save more lives.
Yeah, and then fortunately,
the office.
Oh yeah, at least in the afternoon. I got a friend coming in. And stay with us.
It could soon be illegal for women in Ohio
I'm going to be out
get
like the
an
rest of the
abortion
afternoon.
if they're requesting one because their baby has Down syndrome.
Because then we can do like the
Ohio
entire
legislature has passed a bill making it a crime.
The
Doctors
Tuesday,
Wednesday,
Thursday, and Friday games,
Kasich
and then after that, like we've got, I'll be back in, and then we can do that Saturday, which has like 3, and that Sunday, which has a few more. And we're just in straight crazy.
We're going to have to do. There's none on Christmas Day.
No, they're not on Christmas Day. They're Christmas Eve, and then
time of the
day
year.
after Christmas.
They have memories of and nostalgia about former holiday celebrations. Their grieving may be more intense for a loved one whom they've lost, and it could be a tough and lonely time.
The AARP says over 8 million older adults struggle with loneliness and social isolation.
You paying attention to this, Jeffrey?
He walked out.
He's not in here.
NBC News
Jeff
Radio.
walked in and looked disheveled.
He just, as he was wanting to do on a Friday.
And now he's gone. I don't know where he is.
This is Duncan Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
All right, apparently we're not talking about the Pelicans. Just P.S., they play the Denver Nuggets tonight.
I mean, we could talk about them. I mean, we could spend the next, 4.5 minutes being able to wax poetic about the Pelicans before we go into the last break before we hit hour number 2.
Nah.
And especially seeing as how Jeff is not in his seat.
Right. He forgot we're doing the show, but no.
Well, he needs a snack, though.
Pelicans take on the Nuggets tonight in Denver, 8 o'clock tip. You can, of course, hear that on our sister station, 99.5 FMWRNO. But no Pelicans talk. We just blew by it by my anger for Stevie Wonder and my love for Hootie. But anywho, let's do our college picks. Big time games. Really? I don't know if they're big time games.
Not really, guys. I mean, obviously, if you're one of the first few bowls out the chute, you're not going to be one of the bigger bowls. But hey, man, you get what you get. So let's start out. Obviously, keeping it home. Troy, North Texas.
Well, why don't you give the records first?
Oh boy, here we go.
So you can
let me get the records.
Time to shine.
While like 10 dudes like gawk through the window right now looking at us. It's very, very strange.
We are important.
Okay, so records going into big time blow out the box bowl pick'ems. I'm leading naturally, as I've done all season, the regular season champ, with a 6-7.
5 minutes in this segment.
67 and 51. Jeff is 62 and 56, and Larry is a paltry 53 and 65. So, guys, New Orleans Bowl's first one up.
So bad at this.
Troy is a 7-point favorite over North Texas, the champions of the Sun Belt, in Saturday's game. The first one out of the gate.
I mean, Troy beat LSU, so I'm just going to go Troy. I mean, that's my logic. There it is, Troy.
Troy hasn't lost in 2 months, so I'm going with that. I think their last loss was the game, South Alabama game, maybe.
That's amazing that they
yes,
lost.
Yes, it was,
Alabama.
and there was actually Chris Dave did a great story talking about how they overcame that loss to continue to win the Sun Belt and then have that LSU win be a signature win for them. All right, guys, next game.
Wait, who did you pick?
I'm sorry. Going with Troy. Sorry.
Cheating Clyde.
Oh, we only have 5 minutes. All right, guys, the next game, the AutoNation Cure Bowl.
What?
Western Kentucky is a 6.5-point favorite over Georgia State.
What?
Hilltoppers, baby. Give me the Hilltoppers.
Georgia State, sure. What is this bowl again? What is
the AutoNation Cure Bowl? That one is played in Birmingham, I'm pretty.
AutoNation.
No, Orlando. It's in Orlando.
Yes, it is. It's at Camping World Stadium. My bad.
Of course.
What?
The historic Camping World Stadium.
Yes, where the Citrus Bowl will also be played.
Well, Louisiana State will be playing there.
When I think of great stadiums, I think of Lambeau Field, Fenway Park, and Camping Bowl Stadium.
I was there last year. It was great.
Oh my God,
Larry,
this isn't even a real bowl. I said Georgia State. I don't even know if this isn't even a real bowl.
It is a real bowl, and it will be on TV.
Georgia State had a football team.
They do, and they actually play at Turner Field. They reconfigured it, and that is their home stadium now.
Isn't that where Willie Fritz came from?
No,
he's at Georgia Southern.
That's all the same.
No, it's not, because they're in different parts of the state. Thank you. I'm also going with Western Kentucky on this one.
Clyde, I can't wait for this segment to be over.
All right, guys, next game, the Las Vegas Bowl. Can't wait. Boise State at Oregon. Oregon is a 7-point favorite over the Broncos.
I will go Boise State.
Me too.
For no apparent reason.
I think they'll cover the spread.
Well, that's what I'm going with, yes.
Yeah, they're going to cover that spread. Too many points.
No Willie Taggart. Obviously, Willie Taggart left to go be the head coach at Florida State, so they're going to be on Mario Cristobal, who will also be given, I'm pretty sure he's been given the head job there, so I'm also going with Boise State in this one as well. All right, guys, the next game after this one is the Raycom Media Camellia Bowl. Middle Tennessee taking on Arkansas State. Arkansas State is a 3.5-point favorite.
Raycom has a bowl?
They do have a bowl.
Is Sean Fazan and Juan Kincaid going to be standing in the middle of the field doing the coin flip, since that's a Fox 8's Raycom, right?
You know where the game is located?
No, I don't know.
That game is Montgomery, Alabama.
Montgomery actually has a football stadium?
I didn't think they had one either. Were they playing like a high school stadium or something?
I don't know. Who's playing in it again? I have no idea.
Middle Tennessee
State and Arkansas State. Arkansas State is a 3.5-point favorite.
In honor of our good friend Kevin Spain, I'm going Middle Tennessee State.
You would be losing that.
Oh.
Because Arkansas State's going to truck them.
Okay. Yeah, bro. Arkansas State
2 minutes.
all day. And guys,
all day.
All day. And the last game of this weekend specifically is the Gildan New Mexico Bowl. Lots of shirts going to be given out. This one, much cotton. Marshall taking on Colorado State. Colorado State is a 5.5-point favorite.
Well, Garrett Grayson, didn't he play at Colorado State?
Yes, correct. That's correct.
So I'm going with Marshall.
I'm going with Marshall too. We used to go to training camp in West Virginia. That's our connection.
Anything that doesn't have to do with Garrett Grayson, I'm going with. So
5.5. I'm going to go with Colorado State in this one.
You know where this bowl is played? It's played in Albuquerque, New Mexico. You know who's from Albuquerque, New Mexico?
Alex Bregman.
Correct.
See, I knew that.
See, very well done.
Albuquerque Turkey.
Going to play on the Smurf turf out there in Boise, Albertson Stadium, I believe.
I'm glad you know that, because I don't know any.
I know lots of randomness, dude.
I'm so glad I'm not in a bowl pool, even though we're on our own bowl pool, because I don't know any of these teams. I don't know any of these games. What the hell is the point of any of this?
Yeah, you're going to get really into your emotion until we get to like the bigger games around New Year's Eve and New Year's Day and those games. Yes. It's like, oh, let's talk Clemson, Alabama.
Right, exactly. Like the ones that matter.
There was a very good story, though, about how, especially yesterday in awful announcing, about how ESPN really is keeping all the bowls afloat because they own close to a third of them, and they run them themselves, and they get to keep that revenue.
You know, when Larry makes that Clemson Alabama pick, he's going to be bald.
Can't wait.
I will be easily bald. Even one of our coworkers is needling me on Twitter during the show about my hair. Man, I love it. Can't escape it. Hour number 1 is up. Hour number 2 is on the way. Tracy Porter coming up next here. Sports1280NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder.
At least I could trust you because you weren't, completely wasted after last night. As opposed to this one over here.
It's a brother and a sister kind of thing. Raise up your hands if you all wanna hang.
WODT WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280. Fox Sports trending now.
Broncos and Colts kicked off Week 15 with Thursday Night Football.
Ironman from a trips left in motion, 2-by-2 to set. Osweiler in the gun, takes a snap, floats one towards the corner of the end zone. That ball is bobbled and caught. Denver touchdown, Cody Latimer.
Broncos' fifth win of the season as they beat the Colts 25-13. Brock Osweiler came in for an injured Trevor Siemian and delivered with 3 touchdown passes. It's going to be 2 touchdown passes and 1 rushing. Broncos with the victory, though. They've won back-to-back games. Meanwhile, switching on over to Major League Baseball real quick, Cleveland Indians have signed outfielder Melvin Upton to a minor league contract. In the NBA, Cavaliers and Lakers.
Wade steps to his left, launches a 3. He knocks it down. Tough shot as he was challenged by Lonzo Ball.
Dwayne Wade had 10 points. LeBron James with a triple-double. Lakers get beat 121-112. I'm David Gascon.
We are Buffalo.
If you love this song, then you have good taste in music. And if you love the crisp and refreshing flavor of Pepsi Zero Sugar, then you have good taste in taste. Pepsi Zero Sugar. If you don't love it, you haven't tasted it. Pepsi Zero Sugar. Max Pepsi taste. Zero in on refreshment this holiday season with the great taste of Pepsi Zero Sugar.
I was 11 years old at my first national championships. I fell I don't know how many times.
Michelle Kwan is the most decorated figure skater in U.S. history.
But I had a dream. My dream came true because I dedicated myself.
Dedication. Michelle Kwan, a champion.
I was passionate about something, and I made sure that I worked hard for it.
And dedication can make your dreams a reality.
Whatever your dream and goals are, they can come true.
Dedication. Pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
Next stop for net neutrality, federal court. Consumer groups, web content providers, and some state attorneys general are already suing over the FCC's decision to end Obama-era rules that required internet service providers to treat all web traffic equally.
The fear is that internet service providers could create fast lanes, giving preferential treatment to certain content and may charge more for access. It's created a backlash, including protests.
There could be a lot of favoritism with partnerships between service providers and content providers, or news organizations or political organizations.
The FCC will still require transparency from internet service providers, but if consumers aren't happy with the terms, they may be sued. According to FCC data, about 40% of the country only has one option for internet service.
I don't think it's going to be the end of the world immediately, but it definitely opens the door to a lot of things that we may not want to deal with.
You hate Tracy Porter too?
Liz McLaughlin reporting with
No, Tracy Porter is probably the only sports-related person that's ever made me cry.
Unnecessary regulation. President Trump is trumpeting
in the
his
best
overall
way.
deregulation
In the best way.
efforts.
And I'll say it on air. I don't care. I cried after the Saints won the Super Bowl. I don't care.
You cried?
Absolutely. That was one of the happiest days of my life.
Coming back into our country.
I don't think I've cried at a sporting event since I was like 10.
His administration
I cried when the Cubs won the World Series.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
That was like 2 years ago. I know.
And fight competitions from Amazon.
108 years in the making. Well, of course. Got emotional. I was at Tracy's.
Shift is an internet-based grocery delivery.
I need to have a whole program. I collapsed and fell to the ground, and people.
See, I didn't go that far. I definitely cried.
2 minutes and no Tracy.
All right.
Yeah, I definitely cried
And T-Mobile is planning to launch a TV
Blithering
service
idiot.
next year. The nation's #3 wireless carrier says it's purchased cable TV startup Layer 3 TV to help it roll out its upcoming service. T-Mobile has released few details, but promises to address consumer complaints such as sky-high bills and exploding bundles. Consumer and business news, Joe McConnell, NBC News Radio.
My son Aiden has asthma. Secondhand smoke has triggered his asthma so badly, he ended up in the emergency room and spent multiple nights in intensive care. Now he's on a whole bunch of medications. My tip to you is, Don't be shy about telling people not to smoke around your kids.
Half of U.S. kids are exposed to secondhand smoke. If you or someone you know wants help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
A new Watch to Play model coming to Pandora. Wall Street Journal says Pandora listeners will soon be able
1 minute.
free as long as they sit through a 15-second video ad. For every ad they watch, users will then be able to queue up specific songs for about 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour. Pandora's premium service allows song they want.
Can't wait. I read this yesterday.
$1 a month.
Could be
Pandora
awesome.
Hopes if they give away
if you can
songs
sit
for
through
free,
15-second
more
ads.
people will Spotify and
What
Apple
is it?
Music.
So basically, Pandora is going to allow you to have some of their premium features in the free version, but you have to watch 15-second ads to be able to do some of those premium things, like having it on cue and wanting to listen to what you want. Like I want to
Spotify is everybody's going to Spotify.
Yeah, pretty much.
I do.
Picking out a car.
I use Spotify.
All right, 15 seconds. And Tracy Porter.
All right, yeah, I just reminded his PR
name.
woman.
Roll through it.
PR person.
Yes, PR person.
Model. Tech Report, Larry Olson, NBC News Radio.
Oh, by the way, I played this last night on the jukebox. Played it twice. Nice.
Duncan Holder, hour number 2 on a Friday, December 15th, live in our NOLA.com Times Picayune studios. Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan, Clyde Verdun in studio today. And if you missed any of hour number 1, it was a feisty, fiery hour number 1.
A lot of crotchetyism going on today. Clyde not liking Darius Rucker, you not liking Stevie Wonder.
That's not true. That's not true.
I mean, I like everybody.
This is true.
This is a bully.
Similarly accurate, almost. Half accurate.
Well, you can hear me scream about my distaste for Stevie Wonder. Sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube page. You can listen to our podcast after the show. Look, scheduled to join us is Tracy Porter. Once we get him, we will certainly talk with him. But as we roll on with the show, Saints-Jets this weekend. Obviously a big game for the Saints, not so much for the Jets, and I'm wondering how Jets fans actually feel about this season, because it's something that you feel like they wouldn't be happy about. They would have rather them been the Giants, like in the tank to get a quarterback. Like Josh McCown is not their future. He had a very good season when he played, broken hand, not playing. Saints are going to take on Bryce Petty, and the last time he actually played in an NFL game, I think he threw 77 interceptions. He was miserable.
Yeah, I think it was one of the lowest passer ratings ever recorded.
Might have been like 0.
Did you know, by the way, this is totally off the subject of Bryce Petty, but I was looking at Nick Foles. Did you know he threw 7 touchdown passes in one game when he was with the Eagles? Tied an NFL record.
In that 13th season when he was a stud, yeah.
Yeah, 7 TDs in one game. I don't remember that. 7. That's a crazy number for Nick Foles. I think that year he had like 27 or something high number of touchdowns and only threw 2 picks the whole time. That's why his passer rating was so low.
And yet,
Fantasy Hall of Famer.
The Saints beat the Eagles and Nick Foles it was 20 degrees that night in the 2013 playoffs and it was actually a balmy 20 degrees because the night before it was 0.
Oh.
While Jeff was parading us around town, it was 0.
So that was
Philadelphia.
2013, correct?
The 13 season, yes.
And if I remember correctly, Philadelphia won a bunch of games in a row. Yeah, they finished the season winning 7 of their last 8 games, and then the Saints went in there and beat them. I mean, they had all this momentum, and the Saints beat them 26-24 in that game. And if I remember correctly, it was won on a field goal, right?
Yes, Shane Graham kicked the field goal to win it after Garrett Hartley in one of my games that I made people depressed about, the Rams loss in 2013 when he kicked the ball like a helicopter and missed the field goal by about 70 yards wide left. They canned him and brought in Shane Graham, and Shane Graham kicked the game winner that year.
Yeah, and Shane Graham had bounced around. Didn't we do a story on him? Didn't he play for like a zillion teams?
Yes.
He was a guy that like had played for almost half the league.
He made a Pro Bowl, I think, when he was with the Bengals, but he played. Yeah, he's been all over the map.
And it really does point to the fact that finding a good kicker and solving that position. We see other teams in the league right now going around trying to fix their kicking situations. I think the Saints have solved their kicking dilemma with Will Lutz. He's been very steady lately.
He might miss one from time to time, but
right.
Look, he's been more reliable than what the Saints have had in a long time.
I think their kicking game is pretty strong. The rest of their special teams sometimes leaves a little bit to be desired.
There's a reason why your third-string quarterback is playing special teams, because you can't find viable people. I mean, let's be honest about it.
I think the injuries contributed to that because they spent a lot of time trying to fortify special teams in the offseason. Chris Banjo's been very good. I mean, I think he's got a shot to make the Pro Bowl as a special teamer.
Well, I know Saints fans are voting for him because I think he might be in like the top 10 as far as a special teamer, as far as getting Pro Bowl votes. But let me spin it back to Bryce Petty. You know how much I love odds, right?
Yes. Let's talk.
I've only mentioned that, and of course I never gamble. But Bryce Petty, the over-unders, they had prop bets going into this week. This is via Bovada. The over-under on his passing yards is 185.5. His total touchdowns is at 1. Total completions, 17.5. And total interceptions, 1.5. Do you think Bryce Petty goes over or under any of those statistics? Obviously, he's going to go over or under. It's all of them, but which way does it go, Jeff? What do you think?
I think he's going under.
Under 185.5 passing?
Yes. No doubt in my mind. He's not going to throw for over 185 yards. No way. I think.
How many picks? 1.5 is the over-under.
I would go under. Saints, other than that game last week, they've not been picking off a lot of passes lately.
I feel like the last time we saw a major interception game was the Panthers game week 3 when they picked off Cam Newton 3 times.
Yeah. I mean, that came out of nowhere, that Falcons game. All of a sudden, 3 picks. They could have had 4.
Well, it came out of nowhere because Matt Ryan is throwing lollipops into the end zone. I mean, honestly, he like floated the ball. It's like, here you go, whee! It floated like a balloon.
At one point, I thought he might be point shaving, like he was on the Saints or something. It was so bad.
That would be the ultimate heel move if Matt Ryan turned out to be a Saints guy. That would be something we'd be talking about next week.
Can't wait for that expose.
Actually, a Saints guy. Yeah.
Well, he's had a decent
And that's
year.
why he blew it in the Super Bowl too, because he's a closet Saints guy.
Wow.
Conspiracy theories. Hey, we've heard them all week.
There's certainly a lot of conspiracy theories going around in this city. It's not unusual.
No doubt about it. But look, we've talked about it. Jets. What's the spread now? Are they
16?
Is it still 16?
16. Yes. I looked at this morning.
16-point underdog to the Saints, and we've all made our predictions already, and it's posted online. But we'll give our prediction if you haven't seen it at NOLA.com or in our print editions of the Times-Picayune. We'll give it to you at the end of the show. We also got to do Lock of the Week, Fantasy Stud of the Week. It's Fantasy Playoff time, and Upset of the Week.
Big-time games this week. You got the Chargers going to Kansas City. That's going to go a long way toward deciding, I think, the AFC West. Then you got that huge Patriots-Steelers game that will go a long way toward determining the number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs. And there's one more big game. I'm trying to Carolina's at home against the Packers. That's going to have playoff implications.
Well, that's become a big game because Aaron Rodgers is back, and so now it puts them squarely in contention. And look, honestly, we didn't think Brett Hundley would be somebody that would keep him in contention. You at least got to give him some credit for keeping the ship afloat.
And also Mike McCarthy for figuring out how to win with him. I mean, when we saw them, that was the first game he started when they played the Saints up in Green Bay. And I think they were just trying to figure out what he could do well, what he was comfortable with. And the Saints caught them at a good time because I think they've slowly figured it out, and they started letting him run more, move the pocket around. He was more comfortable that way. And they scratched out 2 straight overtime victories to maintain their playoff hopes, and now they, one way or the other, will play a large role in these NFC playoffs because they got Carolina this week, and then they come back to Lambeau and have the Vikings. And so Saints fans should be rooting hard for the Packers the next 2 weeks.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not like Green Bay is. Do they have a shot at catching the Saints? Sure. If the Saints lose out and the Packers, say, win out, but you're not worried about that.
I think if the Saints win out, I was driving into the office today thinking about it, pretty much they're assured of being no worse than the 3rd seed, I think, if they win out. I guess there's a way that they could end up in a 3-way tie with the Rams and the Panthers, and I don't know how that would shake out if there's a 3-way tie for the 3rd seed. But I think the worst they could do would be the 3rd seed, maybe the 4th if they lose the tiebreaker.
Well, if they win out, the worst they could do is 4th because they'd win a division. So, I mean, that's kind of an obvious thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So I think that's definitely how it would shake out is they would have at least the 4th seed. I don't know if they would lose the 3-team tiebreaker to the Rams because they lost straight up to the Rams. Like they would eliminate the Panthers because they beat the Panthers twice and are the division champion, and then it might go to head-to-head, and they'd probably lose out to the Rams. Yeah. So I think that might be how it works.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I may be wrong about that. I've been wrong. Like I think in 1987 I was wrong once.
No, once.
You weren't wrong today about Ben Jarvis Green Ellis. Yeah. You got that right.
Yeah. Give yourself at least a little bit of credit. Not too big of a pat on the back, but just kind of a tiny one.
All right, let's take a break right here on the show. And when we get back, we'll, of course, continue Saints Jets talk. You'll hear from Drew Brees later on in the show about Michael Thomas, Mark Ingram, and this Saints Jets game. So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. For Duncan Holder.
It's Free Movie Friday, thanks to Adam Tickets.
No, it's
text quarter to Adam1 for your.
Yeah, so still crickets.
Yeah. To be Larry. I mean, it's not anytime. He's going to call in.
Weekend deals are here at Target.
Tell her, like,
Here's your can't-miss deal list. Better bust out that wish list. Guide to saving big this holiday season. This Saturday and Sunday, save 20.
Yeah, I mean, I figured we'd take a break now on the off chance he does call.
Yeah, but that's like,
but yeah, I mean, it's getting kind of late now.
Throw the guy a bone, all right.
And the Hero Droid BB-8. These deals are out of this world. This Saturday and Sunday, save 20% on Star Wars toys, apparel,
Surly Larry.
Only
mercy.
Restrictions apply.
I just knew it. I mean,
Wendy's Double Stack is back.
It's not like our fault, but it's
with a quarter pound of fresh, never frozen beef. Which means you can get the double stack, the junior bacon cheeseburger, and the crispy chicken BLT.
There you go.
Along with 4 nuggets, small fries, and a small drink, all for just $4.
Have to be around
and it's only around for a limited time, so you better hurry and get to Wendy's today. Right. That's a deal so good, it can't be beat. No, I said beat, not beep.
Sorry, man. Not valid in Alaska and Hawaii. Fresh beef available in contiguous U.S. and Canada.
Here's the best thing you can do. Don't ever go to their boss and tell them, oh yeah, I didn't get the, I didn't, like this person was late, because then you're gonna get
Star Wars: The Last Jedi opening, continuing the adventures of Rey and Luke Skywalker, and for one last time, Princess Leia. Rian Johnson directing The Last Jedi, the second film in this sequel trilogy.
Number one, it was one. Number two, this is a full-fledged adult.
Sia and dancer actress model Maddie Ziegler in the holiday spirit after reuniting to perform the new Christmas song Snowman. The two performed on the Ellen DeGeneres show, traced back to the 2014 Chandelier music video, featuring Ziegler in an instantly iconic guard. Snowman featured on Sia's new holiday album Every Day is Christmas. John Stamos is going to be a dad, a 54-year-old actor telling people that he is expecting his first child with his fiancée actress Kate McHugh, also revealing they got engaged after they found out they were expecting.
Or somebody else in the organization.
Aerosmith guitarist Joe Perry announcing a solo show in Los Angeles a few days before his solo album Switzerland Manifesto drops January 19th. He'll do a mix of new songs, Aerosmith tunes, and covers at the Roxy January 16th.
All right, 15 seconds.
All right, Dave, you want to do the keyword here?
HBO sharing a...
yeah, sure. What the hell?
Okay. What the hell?
The flick airs January 8th on what would have been the late musician's 71st birthday.
If we haven't chased away half the audience, we'll find out.
It's been an unpredictable show.
I blame Clyde.
Absolutely. Me too.
This is Duncan Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Keyword time. Time to give away Pelicans Nets tickets December 27th in the Smoothie King Center, fresh right after Christmas. And Dave kind of gave the advice, hey, you can win them here and pretend like you bought them, and it's a great Christmas gift for someone you did. So if anyone's hearing this and you get random Pelicans Nets tickets, don't worry about it. But we're calling for the keyword here. Gave it to you in hour number 1. We want the keyword. First caller, 504-260-1280. If you call in, give the correct keyword that we gave in the first hour, you will win Pelicans Nets tickets. Good tickets.
Ho, ho, ho.
That is not the keyword, just a heads up.
That's getting in the Christmas spirit.
Jeff loves the Christmas spirit.
Yes. That's, I believe, from A Christmas Story, I believe.
I think you're correct.
Yes. Now, aren't they re-releasing that, or like a new version of it?
Well, I mean, what aren't they re-releasing these days? Live action Lion King, live action Nutcracker, live action.
What's live action mean?
Well, I mean, they're going to use like actors and no, they're going to use like action, live bodies. It's weird. It's a whole thing.
Basically, it's a play on TV.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
Although I'm interested how they're going to do the Lion King and the Little Mermaid. That's going to be a whole thing.
Well, considering they originated as cartoons, I don't know how you do it.
Well, I mean, Beauty and the Beast did well, so.
Yeah. I'm a huge Little Mermaid fan.
Really?
That was great.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Ariel.
Okay. As we lock the door for in case, child protection.
What does that got to do with anything? It was a Disney movie or what? No, it wasn't. Was it Disney?
It was Disney.
I get confused.
That's just not one of those. No, that's
I can't like a Disney movie.
I don't know, but yes, you can. Absolutely. But someone who went to Disney World, I'm assuming after Super Bowl 44, join us right here on the show. Former Saints cornerback, Super Bowl hero, postseason hero for the rest of his life and beyond. Tracy Porter joining us right here on Duncan Holder. Tracy, I know you probably walk the streets in New Orleans, and people probably still come and give you hugs and do all these things because you're forever their hero. How do you deal with being accosted every day when you walk the streets here in New Orleans?
Oh man, I love it. In a hometown kid, I mean, you grew up rooting for the Saints, and I mean, just to have, just to be a part of the team that won the Super Bowl from really speaks volumes enough, but to have a small part in helping the team win the Super Bowl, and that's a satisfaction enough. So I mean, the fans, that are excited, that doesn't bother me. I actually love it.
Well, I think you played a little bit larger part than just a small part since you made the biggest.
Tracy, be humble for a minute.
Biggest play of all time. But Tracy, I think fans would be curious, and I'm curious, just to get your thoughts on this year's cornerback tandem. I mean, a lot of talk about Marshawn Lattimore, what he's brought to the table this year as a rookie, teaming up with King Crawley. What are your impressions of the Saints cornerbacks right now?
Oh, they're definitely a talented young group. They don't have much experience, but you don't get the experience if you don't play at that position. And Dennis Allen, he's had a history of putting the cornerbacks out there that he believes in, that he knows can play, whether they're older or younger. Age doesn't matter with him as long as you can get the job done. He's willing. He has the belief in you, and I found that out once I was drafted in 2008. I'm starting as a rookie, so that doesn't surprise me. I mean, those two young guys, they're very talented. And I believe they have P.J. Williams in at the nickel, so that's a talented secondary that those guys have.
Yeah, and Dennis Allen, you played for him. He's a very aggressive coordinator, a lot in the mold of like Greg Williams, who he coached under. Puts you out on an island a lot, doesn't he? I mean, he's not afraid to put you out there and let you play a lot of man-to-man.
I'll tell you this. He plays. He calls to the talent of his guys. I mean, if he believes in his corners and he believes in his secondary, which obviously he does. I mean, he's going to trust that those guys can cover any receiver one-on-one. But if it's a matchup with a certain particular wideout, like any defensive coordinator, he's going to sprinkle in a few things to cover that guy. But, for the most part, I mean, if any coordinator has the confidence that DA has, that Greg had, and myself and Jabari Greer, I mean, you can say that they're, blitzing defensive coordinators, but that's just those guys. That just shows how much confidence they have in the guys on the island.
Tracy Porter joining us right here on Duncan Holder. Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan here with you in our NOLA.com Times-Picayune studios. Tracy, you've played for 5 teams in the NFL, and some might say, oh, you'd like to stick around and spend your whole career with one team. But how much did you enjoy the experience of being in different locker rooms, kind of being with different systems, and kind of getting a broad scope of numerous teams in your career?
It was different. Yeah, some guys say they want to stay with one team, for their entire career, but going on to different teams and learning different cultures and different locker rooms and different guys, that that was an experience all in itself. You go to a different city, you have to learn the city as well. So you learn new things. You learn new things in that realm as well. So I don't regret it. I mean, I was able to play. I'm still looking to get back out there, but it just so happened I had to sit out this year. I had surgery, on the knee. I'm recovering from that. That's going extremely well right now. And in the meantime, I just, over the time off, I wanted to use it constructively and put a few things together, put a few businesses together, and revamp my foundation as well.
Well, that leads right into my question, Tracy. Your Fresh Start Foundation has a great event on Monday, and why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about what you got going on, because it's benefiting a great cause, the Children's Hospital here in New Orleans.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Monday, we'll be out in front of Target and Kenner for about 4 to 7 p.m. Myself, along with members of the foundation, invited a couple of guests, a couple of current and former Saints players. They'll pass through as well. I'm not going to ask those guys to sit out there the whole 3 hours with you. So they'll come out there and show their support as well. Fans or people that want to come and donate the toy, they have opportunity to get an autograph, talk about, talk to us, take pictures, interact with us. But the main focus that I'm concerned with is trying to push and get toys donated, and we bring them to the hospital, the Children's Hospital of New Orleans, on the next day. And I have what they call a carnival set up for those kids in the auditorium, where we have different activities set up for them. We have a video game station set up for them. We have basketball, little shootout competition for them. Golf. We have arts and crafts tables set up. We even have nail techs coming out for the girls to give them manicures and pedicures. So, we wanted to cover everything. We just didn't want to have it, male specific. I wanted to have, the girls involved as well.
Tracy Porter joining us right here on Duncan Holder. Sounds like a great event. It's awesome. I'm sure all the kids are going to highly enjoy that. But Tracy, as you began your career and where you are now, this is going to be probably a very broad question, but what's maybe one of the 2 biggest things that you learned about playing in the NFL, as opposed, because rookies come in and they're kind of bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and don't know the ropes. What's maybe one or two of the most important things that you learned about being able to play and have a long career in the NFL?
Oh man, the biggest thing is that at this level, everything moves faster. That's the biggest thing. It's not like college. And another thing, it's not like college, is that you have grown men out there, and they're not playing. Not any disrespect towards the scholarship realm, but you're feeding your families at this level. So everything out there is it's business. So yes, you can have fun in it, and the fun definitely allows you to do more and come together more. But it's definitely all business at that level. Like I said, you can have fun with it, but once you're out there in that field between those white lines, man, it's all business.
Tracy, I'm curious. Did you keep either one of the game balls from those interceptions you made in the NFC Championship game?
I have both of them.
Where do you have them? Where you have them displayed somewhere?
I have them in a case. I put them in a case, and I have them at my house. Actually, when I went to Denver, I was so close to bringing it and asking Peyton to sign it, but I didn't know how that was going to go.
That would have been awesome. Are you kidding me? That would have been the best thing ever.
I was like, nah, I'll wait on that one. I'll probably wait. But if I see him now, I'll probably ask him at that time.
That'd be like the ultimate like troll move, like you're trolling someone on Twitter. Oh, it'd been beautiful. Yeah. You got to do that in life. Now that you said it, no, we're gonna have to hold you to it. You've got to do it. And take a picture with him, and Peyton will be like frowning, and you're like, like pointing and laughing at him. Oh man.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There you go. Well, hey Tracy, appreciate the time. Awesome event. Glad you were able to jump on the show, and good luck with everything. And just one more time, give some quick details on your event that you're going to be holding Monday.
Oh yeah, Monday, December 18th, from 4 to 7 p.m. At the Target connected to the Esplanade Mall. We'll be out in front. You won't be able to miss us because you'll see us with the banner, with the Fresh Start Foundation logo, and you can't miss me. So I'll be out there with the barrel of toys, hoping to collect donations from them to bring them to the kids of the Children's Hospital.
Good deal, Tracy. Hey, Tracy, appreciate you jumping on the show, and good luck with everything, and good luck getting back in the league. I mean, you've...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
so,
I really appreciate it.
You got it. All right, that's former Saints cornerback, Super Bowl postseason legend, Tracy Porter. He better get Peyton to autograph it, and I need to see a frowny face Peyton, and they could do like a nationwide jingle, and Tracy could just be like, how about this?
That's hilarious that he's thought about asking Peyton.
It's glorious.
It would certainly make the ball even more valuable than it already is.
Well, I don't think he's going to be
selling it. Well, I mean, at some point it'll be part of his estate. 1,000 years from now.
Could be. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying the value of that ball goes up with Peyton Manning signs it.
I just think it's the ultimate troll move. It'd be beautiful.
Ultimate troll move.
The ultimate troll move.
Would you sign it? If I'm Peyton Manning, I'm not sure I'd sign that.
Just hand it to him and just say, oh, well, it's just a random football.
Yeah, that's what you should do. Turn the panel that shows what it is to the other side.
And then, turn it around.
Peyton, this is for kids. It's for the Children's Hospital. Could you please sign it?
Like the guy who wore the free Sean Payton shirt and took a picture with Goodell. I mean, this could be it. Tracy Porter's moment.
That's pretty funny. That was a funny answer.
Absolutely, yeah. But thanks, Tracy Porter, for jumping on the show. Let's take a break right here on the show. Let's hear from Drew Brees coming up in our next segment. Look, we're talking Saints-Jets. Of course, the Saints need every win they can get, even at 9-4. And this Jets game seems like a winnable one. And also, look, Pro Bowl voting's coming up. Drew Brees talks about Michael Thomas. I ask him about Mark Ingram, and he gives me a very interesting answer, one that I did not expect, and I think it's a good sign for how much people in the locker room love Mark Ingram. So we'll hear from Drew Brees coming up here next. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Gudunk and Holder. That answer was awesome.
Your forecast on
All right, the winner was William.
Is brought to you by
I was thinking about bringing it to him and signing.
The winner of the
meteorologist Bruce Katz today.
Giveaway. His name is William.
William,
okay.
yeah.
William.
Only in the upper.
Yeah, William and Metry, brah.
William and Metry.
Off through the day. Now tonight, going to be chilly. Some upper 30s on the North Shore, lower 40s south. Mostly cloudy for Saturday.
I smell promo, Dave. Tracy Porter wanting to troll Peyton Manning.
You know, right?
That was glorious.
Strong storms. 80%
What was that promo we were talking about yesterday? Did we have like a promo?
High temperatures at 74.
Oh yeah, you were going on a rant about something.
As always.
Oh yeah, you were pissed about not seeing the game on any of the bars.
That's right.
Sports bars, yeah.
And Larry chimed in with some crotchety line, if I remember correctly.
855.
I remember that. I think,
I'm sure. I mean, that's pretty standard.
The sun comes up and Larry calls me old crotchety. Yes.
If you love this song, then you have good taste.
Game on TV, get off my lawn!
Get off my lawn!
Then you have good taste in taste. Pepsi Zero Sugar. If you don't
Samoas all day, as Clyde says.
I mean, I agree.
Pepsi Zero Sugar.
Samoas
Max
are
Pepsi taste.
hands
Zero
down.
in on refreshment this holiday season with the great taste of Pepsi Zero Sugar.
Like you can get like a Thin Mint cookie like all year.
Samoas you can't give them out.
Somebody told me you can buy
cookie thing again.
Yeah, did you all know? Somebody told me that you could buy Girl Scout cookies at Big Lots year round. Is that true? Did I know that?
My mother-in-law would know. She loves Big Lots.
No idea.
It's just urban legend. Urban legend. I'm gonna go to Big Lots. Got one on there with a bunch of Samoas.
Manhattan, dude.
For a better life. Really? Yeah. Go to Big Lots and report back.
The 4 for $4.
He's gonna shower us with cookies.
Never frozen.
Yeah, we're gonna be in Samoas for months.
The Junior Bacon Cheeseburger or the Crispy Chicken.
I'd rather eat Do-si-dos than Thin
along
Mints.
with 4 nuggets, small
tagalongs.
Tagalongs.
Yeah.
$4.
I don't know. Pretty good.
What's a Do-si-do?
It's only around for a limited
That's
time.
the peanut butter.
That's the peanut butter one.
No.
Tagalongs are the. What about trefoils?
I do not like peanut butter.
No, I said beet, not beep.
You don't have to eat it.
man.
I love peanuts. I hate peanut butter.
What is this?
1 minute.
Yes, I'm weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
That's like saying I like avocados, but I hate guacamole.
Yeah.
I don't like either one.
I
of
like
those.
orange juice, but hate oranges.
Touchdowns and running for third.
I think that's. I'd say yes. I could eat oranges.
This makes sense.
Although I would say this, I don't like tomatoes, and I like ketchup. It's kind of weird.
Oh wow.
Isn't that the same thing?
quarterback
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
That's really it. I was just.
No, I'm just saying. Muhammad Wilkerson is out Sunday. Not making the trip.
30 seconds.
25 points, 12 boards, and 12 assists as the Cavaliers top
It's a
the list
coach's
with
decision.
112. LA rookie Lonzo Ball at 13 points, 11
That
assists, and 8
means
rebounds.
Todd Bowles is
The Warriors
betting on
won
the
their
Saints.
eighth in a row,
That's his decision.
112-97
Pulled
over
out one of his
Dallas.
best players.
The A's have acquired outfielder Steven Piscotty from the Cardinals for a pair of minor league outfielders, and the Minnesota Twins.
10 seconds.
we could talk Pelicans. DeMarcus Cousins believe Pelicans won't move him before trade deadline.
Garrity, NBC News Radio.
Oh, they better be good.
Get that Mark Spears, probably.
Will Guillory.
When the devil finished, Johnny said, well, you're pretty good, old son. But sit down in that chair right there and let me show you how it's done. Fire on the mountain, run, boys, run.
We bleed purple, green, blue, black, and gold. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Some breaking news up in New York with the Jets. Their head coach Todd Bowles says Muhammad Wilkerson is not making the trip to New Orleans to play Sunday, and it's a coach's decision. Can you say friction? Can you say Muhammad Wilkerson will likely be looking for another team after this year?
That's crazy.
Yes, one of their better defensive players, period, on that defensive front, and he will not be making the trip to New Orleans. I'm wondering if the point spread jumps even more.
No, I don't think it can move much for a defensive
high
player.
enough.
Usually, only a quarterback has that kind of impact on the line. I mean, every once in a while, a dominant running back like an Ezekiel Elliott or say a Leonard Fournette, who, by the way, has not practiced this week.
Not at all.
Fournette.
Exactly.
And that's going to affect his potential run at the Rookie of the Year. You know, we were talking about that. That's going to be my column this weekend. It looks like a 2-man or 3-man race between Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette, and Alvin Kamara. Kamara's back. Fournette looks like he might miss another game. He's already missed 2 games. But I think whoever finishes strong in these next 3 games is going to win that thing.
Yeah, I think Christian McCaffrey is like a distant fourth.
Right.
He would be maybe the other person you'd mention. But look, a lot of the pub this year, rightfully so, has been Alvin Kamara. And I wrote my 1st and 10 column about the guy who, if Alvin Kamara didn't exist, we'd be gushing over all week, every week, and it's Mark Ingram. And he's having honestly, a potentially historic season for the Saints. He would, if he finishes in the top 10 in rushing, right now he's 6th in the league in rushing. If he finishes in the top 10, he'd be the first running back for the Saints to finish in the top 10 in the league in rushing since Deuce McAllister in 2003.
Wow.
That's how long that goes back.
That's impressive, though.
Yeah, and if he finishes in the top 5, he would be one of one of 4 Saints players who's ever finished in the top 5 in the league in rushing. Can you guess the other 3, Jeff? Can you do it?
What's the question again?
Top 5 rusher in the NFL as a Saints player.
George Rogers.
He's one.
Deuce McAllister.
Deuce.
And Ruben Mays.
I mean, are you reading my story? What is this? What's going on here? You have it pulled up on your screen, cheater.
No, I didn't.
I knew I was going to ask this question.
I was looking because I knew that Ingram was closing in on Deuce McAllister's career rushing total. He's still a ways off. He's got 5,209 yards. Deuce, the career rushing leader, was 6,096. So Ingram should surpass Deuce next year.
Yes.
But he won't get him this year.
He'll surpass him next year potentially in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. He's on his tail too. I think he's 7 behind Deuce, so he's going to catch him. Mark turns 28. 28 next week. So he's still fresh legs. But look, I wanted to ask Drew Brees about it. You know, Drew Brees, you figured he'd give you the we love Mark Ingram, this, that, and the other. But his reaction to when I asked him about it, honestly, I thought it was refreshing. Because I phrased the question, look, we talk about Alvin Kamara so much, but Mark Ingram is having his best season after coming off of his best season. Here's what Drew Brees had to say when I asked him about how well Mark Ingram's played this year.
Mark Ingram, it seems like he's on the way to having a better season than he had last year. Last year was his best season.
Yeah.
What do you make of the way Mark is doing?
Thank you. There you go. He's Mark's having a phenomenal year, and Mark's heart and soul, man. He's one of the heart and soul guys in this locker room. I mean, someone who everyone respects, everyone roots for, wants to block for, wants to hand off to, wants to be successful. Just because we see the way he works, we see his approach. Not a more light guy, not a guy who works harder or is just more positive. Creates great energy, around the locker room, game day. And just a great guy to be around. He's a guy you want to win for.
Have you ever been thanked for asking a question about a guy?
No, I don't think I have.
That's why it took me aback. Thank you. There you go. Basically, I've been waiting for someone to ask me about him because he's having a great year.
Yeah, and he's spot on. I mean, I think one of the things that's curious about Mark Ingram is that he's never warm to the fan base, or at least a segment of the fan base, and maybe it's the Alabama background, I don't know, but I can tell you, and Larry, I know you'll vouch for it, Mark Ingram is one of the most popular players in the locker room on the Saints team. I mean, all of his teammates love him. He's a very popular guy, he's very funny. He and Cam Jordan came in together, they're really good friends, and I've never understood why people are lukewarm to him other than the Alabama thing, because he hasn't done anything. I know he got into a little sideline spat last year with Sean Payton at one point, but that's just emotional. I mean, that's just emotions. Payton has had that with a number of players over the year. I just don't understand that, because he runs hard. He's actually, seems to me like he's becoming more elusive and more difficult to tackle as he ages.
Yes.
The last 2 years he's been a much better runner, much more elusive runner, and much more punishing runner than he was early in his career.
Oh, I totally agree. And just kind of piggybacking, I know I mentioned it earlier when I was talking about Mark Ingram, but if he had the volume of carries, he'd be leading the NFL in rushing. Look, he's only 134 yards behind Le'Veon Bell for the league lead, and he's 6th right now. So, and Le'Veon Bell has rushed the ball 283 times this year. Mark Ingram only has 192 carries, and he's only 134 yards behind Le'Veon Bell.
Shows you how efficient the Saints rushing
Absolutely.
attack. I mean, that's impressive numbers, and I was going back to Kamara a little bit. Kamara is 7 yards per carry right now, would be the highest of any running back in the NFL in the modern era. I mean, there's no running back that's averaged 7 yards per carry from 1970 on. The closest one I found was Mercury Morris. 1973 averaged 6.4 yards a carry. That's the early Miami Dolphins days. So it puts into perspective what Mark's doing and what Alvin Kamara's doing, productively, efficiently running the ball at a very high rate. That's really impressive to have both those backs doing that.
I also think what's more impressive maybe than anything else is that Alvin Kamara's come in and he's electric, and yet Mark Ingram didn't just accept him, he embraces him.
Agreed.
I think that's a huge dynamic. And let's be honest, you wouldn't have seen any of this production as prolific as it was if Adrian Peterson was there. So once that element changed, the fact that Ingram not only accepts Kamara, he embraces him. I think that's a huge plus for the Saints.
Yes, and by the way, Adrian Peterson, I think, went on IR this week, which will impact the Saints' draft pick that they got. They got a compensatory draft pick. And usually those compensatory picks, not compensatory, what am I thinking of? Conditional. I'm sorry, it's a conditional pick. Usually the conditions are tied to playing time or production, and the fact that he's not going to be on the field in the last 3 weeks, I'm certain will impact what kind of pick they get out of it. I mean, it's going to be probably a lesser pick because he's not producing and playing as much. But the other thing I wanted to go back to on Ingram, I think the Saints organization has an interesting decision to make down the road, and that is going to be what are they going to do with Mark Ingram's contract. He is still under contract next season, through next season, but there's an out after this season. And I'm not saying they're going to get rid of Mark Ingram, but are they going to pay him in the future when they've got this young phenom, Alvin Kamara? He's the future of the Saints' backfield. Are they going to pay both guys? I don't know. I think it could be end up being a very similar situation to what happened with Brandon Cooks, where they may move him, not because they want to or they don't like him, but he's an asset, and they've already got another back that they're probably going to pay down the road.
Well, I think the out, isn't it, that if he's the first team All-Pro, isn't that the out?
I don't know.
I think that's the out, and so I don't know if he's going to get to be first team All-Pro. I mean, that means you're top 2 in the league.
No, he's not going to get to that. But they could still trade him next off season. He'd have 1 year left on his deal. The cap hit would not be significant. The dead money would be $1.6 million. So it wouldn't be, out of the realm of possibility for them to move Mark Ingram, even though I don't think they will. It wouldn't be shocking because they could draft another back. They've got Kamara as the lead back, and you get an asset. You get something out of it. But they love Mark Ingram, so I don't know. What are they going to pay him? I guess that's the question. How much is he worth? Because he's splitting time right now, and you're not paying Kamara much of anything. He's
he's a rookie.
Carolina paid both D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart. I don't know if that was the smartest move, but they've it's
locked you up for those two guys for a while.
Right. And Mark Ingram's still young. Like, he's not some old guy.
He's actually pretty affordable, Ram. $4 million a year. That's not bad.
And I guess to a larger extent, I mean, we've seen what Alvin Kamara has been able to do with a back like Mark Ingram and vice versa. Like I was going to say, it's almost kind of to Larry's point of Mark Ingram welcoming Alvin Kamara in. It's almost kind of like that steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron. If he's good, that means I'm going to be good, and we can make each other better. We can make the team better as a whole. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on Alvin Kamara being a primary back in an offense like the Saints. Could he do it? What are your thoughts on that? Because if you do move a guy like Mark Ingram, because I think you kind of do have a tandem here. Like, you have one back who is extremely, extremely effective out in space, who can get around tacklers. And then you have one, obviously with the boom and zoom moniker, who can just absolutely bust it up the gut and then break off big runs, just run guys over.
Jeff loves boom and zoom.
Did you just quote boom and zoom?
I did.
Jeff loves him some boom and zoom.
You used that in a sentence.
I did.
Like it's a common term.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to make it that. I mean, we asked people they like the boom and zoom. We made a graphic for it, and we put it on the front of the sports thing.
Here comes crotchety old Jeff.
Oh, what a surprise. At the end of the show. It's Friday. Boom and zoom. I like it.
He's coming.
Let me have a large plate of cheese, please.
Cheese, please.
Oh,
is there an answer to the question?
Cheese balls
to the question.
Oh, boy.
Anyway,
let's take one more break, and let's hear from Drew Brees. We'll talk about Michael Thomas.
Gotta make our picks, too.
This potentially being a trap game. Let's get to Drew Brees sound because we're running out of show, and then we'll get our quick picks. So come on back. One more segment here. Sports1280NOLA.com and the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder.
Here we go. Over the bar.
There's no way.
Yes, all the way.
That's unreal. That's unbelievable.
How'd you do that?
Start.
Giddy up.
Boom, ba, boom, ba, ba, bow, bow, giddy up.
I was wrong. There
you know you love that damn song.
There was a fourth person who finished in the top 10. Jeff?
That's what the Sports 1280
All-Stars. Oh, my God. Drilled the Mevo. It was Dalton Hilliard.
And it's still on.
At least I had that in my story, so I got that right.
99.5 WRNO.
It's your best time for our biggest discounts.
Yeah, so it was Deuce, Dalton Hilliard, Ruben Mays, George Rogers.
17s must go. Get 12,000 off GMC Yukons and Yukon XL Denali's and 10,000 off Buick Envisions. Get 20% off Encore, 17% off Regal, and 15% off Enclave. Plus, GMC Sierra Elevation double cabs are just $29.9. It's your best time for our biggest discounts. Legacy Buick GMC in Slidell and online at legacybuickgmc.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
I don't have any of that.
Well, we're gonna have about 8 minutes.
All right, we're gonna just smash through the Breeze sound and do something with these picks. Right. Sure.
So Giddy up.
Damn right I like that song.
Giddy up. 1947.
Those guys' names?
Been helping Santa fill his
That's the Oak Ridge Boys.
Happier holidays for deserving children right in your community.
I remember my dad's favorite group was the Statler Brothers. They used to have a lot of those songs.
School's out.
Whatever happened to Randolph Scott riding the trail alone?
Out,
whatever happened to Randolph Scott?
Time to support the Boys and Girls Clubs. Visit Great Futures.
You never Statler Brothers?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The old,
I've heard of the Hanson brothers.
They were kind of like
Ohio
the Alabama group.
If they're requesting
Alabama is still a
because
group.
their baby has Down syndrome. The Ohio legislature has passed a bill making it a crime. Doctors could face prosecution. It's now up to Governor John Kasich to determine whether he'll sign the bill into law. The AARP Foundation is warning of the dangers of being isolated during the holidays. President Lisa Ryerson says for many Americans, this can be the loneliest time of the year.
No.
They have memories of
flowers on the wall.
Nostalgia about former holiday celebrations. Their grieving may be more intense for a loved one.
Are they like Istanbul and Constantinople?
And it could be a tough and lonely time.
The AARP says over 8 million older adults struggle with loneliness and social isolation, and that the numbers are rising as people outlive spouses and friends. Health update.
The mayor of Simpleton.
NBC News Radio.
No. Maybe I do.
She thinks my tractor's sexy. It really turns her on.
Dunk and Holder now. Josh Innes next at noon on Sports 1280. New Orleans.
One more segment here on the show. Let's hear from Drew Brees. Pro Bowl voting is ending, I think today. It's the last day for fan voting, and there is a push for Michael Thomas to make the Pro Bowl first. Would be the first wide receiver in the Saints history of Drew Brees and Sean Payton that a wide receiver would make the Pro Bowl. Last one to make the Pro Bowl was Joe Horn, and that was before Sean Payton got here. But let's see what Drew Brees has to say about the progression of Michael Thomas.
I think more polished in a lot of ways. You know, he came in really raw, and I mean, there's certain innate traits that he has that you just don't find. He is extremely competitive. His work ethic is second to none. You know, his focus and intensity during practice. I mean, every rep is like a game rep to him, and that's really rare. When it comes to playing the wide receiver position, especially as you learn the offense and begin to understand the nuances and some of the adjustments that you have to be able to do on the fly, those are all things that just take time. And so going from last year where he was just really raw to now being a guy who understands the bigger picture, understands what's happening around him, understands ways to get open, understands slight variations to routes based upon look or leverage or coverage or whatever it might be. So he's really matured in that way.
Let's hear what Drew Brees also had to say about Michael Thomas and about never having a Pro Bowl wide receiver.
It is surprising because certainly I'd look at guys and say, you know, they had phenomenal years, phenomenal careers, certainly numbers that would stack up against just about anybody, especially when you look at some of the consistency. You know, there's a lot of guys. You know, certainly Mike is very deserving. I hope it happens. But you know, we'll see.
Really, in terms of the first 2 years, production of Bell's doing more than come close.
Well, that's you guys' job to make sure everybody knows that, right? So yeah, like I said, maybe our guys are not as maybe they're just a little more low key, and so maybe that they don't get the respect or attention that they deserve based upon that. But when you look at the numbers, they're right up there with a lot of the guys that are making Pro Bowls.
So I guess that's sort of what I'm asking. Is there how much is part of the fact that he's so good and so reliable that he's not flashy? I mean, he's never really flashy about his game.
No, there's not. But man, there's consistency and there's dependability, and there's a lot to be said for that.
Our own Josh Katzenstein trickling his way into the show. Jeff, do your job. Be the PR machine for Michael Thomas. What the hell's the matter with you? Get it done.
Calling us out like that.
Drew's calling you old, and he's saying you're not doing your job, Jeff Duncan.
We've done
Hall of Fame selector.
We've done our job to promote all these Saints players.
Oh my gosh,
many
yes.
times.
Well, this year,
there's only so much you can do in a small market.
Well, this year they deserve it, and absolutely so. But let's hear what Drew Brees has to say. Back going toward this game. Let's see what Drew Brees has to say about the Saints being able to control their own destiny.
I live by the motto, you only worry about the things you can control. And so what we control is what's right here in front of us, our preparation for this week, this game. And it just happens to be that we also control our own destiny in regards to where we end up at the end of the day. So we keep winning, then all of our hopes and dreams are alive.
And how much are the Saints built to win this time of year? Let's hear what Drew Brees has to say about that.
Well, I mean, I'd say we're relatively healthy. You always hope and pray that that's the case. And the guys that have had to step in and play have played well and really done a good job. So I feel like we've got some depth in that area as well and some experience. I think there's a confidence. There's a bit of a swagger, knowing what we're capable of. And at the end of the day, you want to be playing your best football this time of year, and as it carries you forward into accomplishing the goals that you've set for yourself.
The best part of all those sound bites is that you're hearing Mario on Nintendo 64 in the background, the music that's being played. That's the best part of it.
He also sounded like he's a little out of breath or something.
He answered a lot of questions. He just came in from a workout. So
sounded like he was breathing heavy.
Well,
it sounded like Darth Vader.
Oh, maybe so.
Dark helmet.
I like how we bring this full circle with Star Wars today.
One more.
All right,
from Drew.
We got to get our pick.
Trap game. Is this going to be a trap game for you guys? Drew Brees says, hell no.
No, not really. Well, again, worry about what we control. We control our effort, our performance, our execution. So I think if you can maintain the mindset that you are trying to, you're focusing on how good you can be from week to week, and understanding that you need to be playing your best football this time of year, going into what is hopefully a playoff run. This is where we continue to, stack the bricks on top of each other and continue to build what we feel like is a team that can make a run at it.
Lock of the week, Jeff. Hurry.
Lock of the week, Saints against the Jets. It's a no-brainer. As I told the YouTube chat room, you'll be sitting in a rocking chair eating a corn dog by halftime.
My lock of the week is Atlanta over Tampa. Clyde, what you got?
Lock of the week, Jacksonville over Houston.
10.5. Okay. Probably so. Maybe without Leonard Fournette. Upset of the week, Jeff.
I like the Bears to beat the Lions and eliminate their playoff hopes.
2 minutes.
Clyde, what you got?
Pittsburgh over New England.
Ooh, I'm going Miami over Buffalo.
Don't you think it's weird?
Buffalo.
Going back to Clyde's pick, isn't it weird that New England's a 3-point favorite in Pittsburgh, who's won 8 games in a row?
Yep, that is strange. And they're coming off of a loss.
I know. Yeah. I don't get it. It's a trap. Recognize a trap. Use the trap to your advantage.
Don't follow the trap.
My fantasy lock or fantasy stud is going to be running back Alex Collins of the Ravens going against the Browns. He's coming on. He's having a good, quietly good year, and people haven't even heard of him.
My fantasy lock, Captain Comerica, Alvin Kamara.
I like that one.
Who you got, Clyde?
I'm going with the wide receiver who probably couldn't be any happier to see his quarterback return. I'm going with Jordy Nelson of the Packers.
I would agree there.
Good one.
All right, Saints pick. What you got?
I picked the Saints to roll. I think 30-9.
I picked the Saints 34-16. Clyde, what you got?
I'm going to go with 41-10.
Whoa. 41? Alvin Kamara better have 6 touchdowns.
Maybe or they get some defensive scores.
Defensive scores?
Team scores. Don't underestimate Clyde's strategy.
Some pick sixes here. Well, great show today. Off the rails show, but fun show on a Friday. Jeff, you survived. Good job. I was worried about you.
I'm going to go buy you a Stevie Wonder album for Christmas.
Man, that guy. What a clown.
Play some part-time lover at the end of the day.
What a clown. Want to thank Ken Belson of the New York Times. Want to thank Tracy Porter. If you missed any of the show, sports1280.com. NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube page. All right, guys, have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday talking Saints Jets here, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Dunk and Holder.
And yoga.
Got any music lovers
Thanks,
on your
Dave.
holiday
Thanks,
list?
Dave. Roller Coaster Ride Friday.
Minute Quello Concerts with Quello.
See y'all Monday.